lot of good stuff. I think we can pretty well wrap up. But before we do, I want to give you guys a chance to say if there's one last thing you want to say about Azure. Is something in particular that needs to be said, something that people need to know about Azure if they're looking at it as a possibility. Just something to keep in mind. Adam, a closing comment on Azure?
Well, so Eric touched really briefly on the concept of the service bus in there during our conversation about the hybridization and building hybrid applications. And I would encourage people to just go take a stare at what the service bus has to offer. It is the Swiss Army knife of cool features to plug together, disparate applications across multiple data centers. It allows you to really create some very scalable applications via a more consistent queue technology. I mean, it is a real, that in itself, we could sit and have a 24-hour talk about service bus.
Hey, talk about your car.
Oh, my car, my cloud-enabled car. So last year, Eric would like me to talk about the fact that I, as sort of a prototype project last year, hooked up my green Saturn Vue, a car that isn't even manufactured anymore, to the cloud as sort of a prototype last year, and used the service bus as a way to distribute transactions from the front seat to the back seat so that my kids could control the stereo by the service bus as sort of an experiment. So my children could decide that they didn't like what was playing in the front seat of the car, could send a communication through the East Coast Azure data center, which then rebounded back to my car, which was running a RESTful endpoint masquerading as the stereo, essentially, and then changed the track and the volume on the stereo. So that was sort of a fun little trick.
Impressive. Okay.
Yeah. You want to talk about an elephant gun for a very simple problem? That was definitely it. But I did actually talk a few times about the cloud-enabled car at a couple of conferences last year, and it was a lot of fun. So.
Greg, you have a cloud-enabled car, or a closing comment on Azure?
No, I do not have a cloud-enabled car yet.
So disappointed. Really, we should all have cloud-enabled cars.
I guess what I would say is, for those people that are still questioning, where they see themselves in the cloud, 3 or 4 years ago it was people were evaluating it. More and more today, I see people saying, "Oh, you're not in the cloud yet." Like that mind shift has switched. And to look at Microsoft's investment in it, I would point out that things like Bing, Hotmail, SkyDrive, a lot of all that stuff, Microsoft is eating their own dog food and hosting that actually in Azure. So if you use a lot of those services, realize that the back end is Azure, and those are always up. So,
yeah. Eric, closing comment on Azure, or a cloud-enabled car.
I don't have a cloud-enabled car. I'm not that cool.
Okay. You're terribly cool, though.
I would like Adam to come cloud enable my existing cars, but
he does that as a service.
Right,
I do, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, cloud enablement cars as a service. CAAS, right?
Right. But to piggyback on what Greg was saying, you definitely need to get started kicking the tires on this stuff, and there's a lot of ways Microsoft makes this easy. So you can go get a free trial of Azure, and they will give you a bucket of dollars, basically. I don't even know, Adam, you may know exactly how much that is right now, but it's $150 or $250 worth of Azure, something in that range.
Yeah, per month, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that you can go just use Azure services for free in that free trial.
Yeah.
Then if you are a Microsoft developer, your MSDN benefits are huge. So you get up to a couple $100 a month that you can use in Azure. Yeah, exactly, as part of your MSDN benefits.
Yeah. So if that's a good point. Yeah, if you have MSDN Pro, Premium, or Ultimate, and you're not using our data centers or your free Azure, you're throwing it away. So definitely go and look at that benefit.
It's a use it or lose it sort of thing. So, and then last, Amazon I saw this announcement from Amazon this week around startups, and Microsoft has been there for a long time around startups, but there's a program at Microsoft called BizSpark. So if you are a startup company, a new company in the U.S., maybe even around the world, I don't know what the limitations are, but you can get free Azure time for your startup as well. So those are programs.
Yeah. Where do they find that online?
Yeah. What's that?
Where would they find BizStart? Azure.
BizSpark, B-I-Z.
BizSpark. Is it Azure.com/BizSpark, or where would they find that?
No, it's BizSpark.com. BizSpark.com. BizSpark.com.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So those are great ways to get started with Azure. Definitely go download the Azure Training Kit. That's a great resource.
Yep.
It's part of that support kind of training thing we were talking about earlier. So those are all great resources.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then if you if you're a company, you need help with services, right? Then you've got like Greg and myself. This is what we sort of do for a living.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
There's some customers out there.
Right.
Guys, that's good. A lot of good stuff. Appreciate your expertise. I will keep you posted. I'll send you a link. And thank you very much for sharing your knowledge.
You are.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right.